Welcome to Block and Order, a show that explores the legal issues facing the world of Web3 and beyond. I'm Kyle Lawrence, and with me, as always, the Guildenstern to my Rosencrantz, Moish Peltz, everybody.
Hey Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing swell. How are you, man?
I'm hanging in there. I don't know if I've said it publicly, but I recently had my third child, which is making me burn the candle on both ends,
I
burning the
mean,
old midnight oil.
is that like a lot of work or something? I don't know. You have other
No,
things to do, like Block and Order.
no, that's right. Block and
Priorities.
order is life, and then everything else comes after.
Well, on behalf of all the blockheads in our listening nation, mazel tov to you and your family. And you look clean shaven. You look good, man. Having a kid looks good on you.
Did the shave? Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta keep the trains running here.
I,
So
I respect it. Well, in honor of the newest addition to the Peltz clan, why don't you kick us off today?
all right, well, thanks, Kyle. It's a little hard to start our episode today on any other topic except for the crypto price. You think about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the Bitcoin ETFs, all the positivity and new money kind of gushing into this marketplace. What I think we could probably just vamp on this topic, but where do you? I mean, how do you view the price here relative to like basically every other topic we're talking about?
Right. Well, look, it's no secret, Moish, that Bitcoin is approaching, its all-time highs. As of the time of this recording, it's north of $68,000. Since the 11 ETFs were approved by the SEC back in January, there's been 7.35 billion introduced into all 11 of these funds. Some of the world's largest institutional investors are prominent in the space: BlackRock, Fidelity. I mean, everywhere you turn, it's just, Bitcoin Maxi and Bitcoin Plus, and it's hard to talk about anything Web3 related without just focusing on this. And it's really interesting to see where this is going to go. Especially as we start talking about the Bitcoin halving, which is coming, soon. I think in the next 6, 7 weeks, we're talking about that happening. It's I'm almost excited. I don't even know where to go because look where we were a couple months ago or a year ago, and look where we are now. This is it. Crypto winter's
Yeah,
over.
well,
Summertime is here, baby.
I think that's right. I mean, I guess the question is, is retail even here yet? Right? Because you think about things like, well, I think you're right. Right? The halvening coming, this demand. I think the ETFs are the new ETFs are demanding something like 10,000 Bitcoin a day versus 600 that are produced by miners,
Right.
and that's going to continue, I would imagine. And then there's going to be 300 produced by miners because the halvening is here. But then
Hmm.
you look at things like Coinbase kind of went offline the other day because just they couldn't keep the servers up because there's so much demand.
Right.
But their app is like ranked 150. It's like one of those, like, you look at like these different metrics and it's like, well, things are happening, but we haven't really, doesn't feel like it's like fully blossomed yet.
Right. Well, it's still the refrain you'd always hear at all the conferences that we go to, and anybody that you talk to, it's, oh, we're so early, we're so early. The reality is that retail investors are still pretty early. If you think of what the price is now and where it's projected to go in the next 12 to 18 months with these ETFs and with the openness of the system, and for people who would be hesitant in the past to open a Coinbase account, set up a wallet, link their bank account, all those steps that you have to do. You don't have to do any of that anymore. I mean, you still can, but you don't have to. And it's just a bellwether. It's just another step in the right direction for introducing people who wouldn't otherwise either have access to these assets or have the wherewithal to obtain them in the first place. And I'm just giddy and I'm excited. And, nothing we say here is financial advice, but I sure hope for our listeners out there that if people took advantage of the winter, a year ago,
Pack
using the
their
toilet.
bags. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like a little light. Like I only packed my overnight bag.
Better than nothing though. I mean, look, it's better than losing money.
Well, look, I think that's interesting. I think the idea that a lot of the retail demand can be satisfied by people like buying an ETF in their 401k account.
Right.
Right. So that'd be interesting to see how that changes the dynamic in this current
Yeah.
environment.
That's true. Well, speaking of packing your bags, everybody's favorite Darth Sidious wannabe Elon Musk on Thursday night sued OpenAI and Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, claiming that OpenAI has abandoned its original mission. As everybody is well aware, OpenAI was originally founded as a not-for-profit, and its the ethos set forth in its charter was to benefit humanity. We were not to make profit. We're to benefit everybody. We have no fiduciary duty to shareholders. We have a fiduciary duty to everybody. And Moish, as I have been really following this very closely after the past couple of days, I'm curious to understand how other people view this idea that you exist to benefit humanity. One, how do you quantify that? And do you think that Musk has a leg to stand on? We'll get into some of his, perhaps ulterior motives in a minute, but do you think he has a leg to stand on, legally speaking, by suing them for breaching that mission?
It doesn't sound like it, and the commentary I've read, right, is like he's not on the board. He's just kind of an investor, and like where's his standing, and
Right.
from a legal perspective, I think there's some open questions. I mean, you raise an interesting point. This kind of ties back to when Sam Altman was kind of kicked out and then not kicked out, and what's the structure? Is it for profit? Is it not for profit? And it's kind of all over the place. And I don't think anyone really knows. And I think maybe Musk might be right. He's like, oh, what is this thing? This isn't
Yeah.
what we signed up for. But the question is going to be, does he have a legal claim to challenge, what their fundamental purpose is, and whether this is really like a for-profit company in disguise or something else. So I think that's the question: is not just like, what is this company, and do they really have the best interests of humanity in mind when developing like AI that's going to take over the whole world and become sentient? But what fundamentally, does Musk have any legal claims here?
I mean, I read through the complaint, and there's a lot of, I don't know if fluff is the right word, but there's a lot of stuff in there that you would say if you wanted to turn public opinion against somebody else. The complaint specifically alleges that Altman has been cozying up to Saudi-backed investors to the tune of, he's looking for $7 trillion, according to Elon Musk, which is, that's a lot of money. The money could probably benefit humanity in myriad ways. AI among them. The other thing that was in the complaint, there's a lot of talks about cozying up to China and trying to get approvals from the Chinese government. Who knows if any of that's true? The reality is when I was looking at this, is that Musk was an integral part of the company's inception way back when. He invested, according to the complaint, about $44 million, since the company's
Right.
inception. In 2018, he had very openly said, hey, we're falling way behind Google. The solution is you need to put me in charge of this whole project. And they all said, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then he left the company and formed his own AI company called XAI. So look, I'm not an expert. I don't know him personally, but you don't need to be a meteorologist to see which way the wind blows. Come on. What's going on here?
Well, yeah, and if he does have an ulterior motive, then the cost of this litigation relative to, you know, diminishing OpenAI and raising attention and funding for his own entity seems like this, maybe the cost of litigation is a pittance for him relative to the potential upside
Yeah.
there.
Curious to see what happens here in the next couple of weeks. Surely we'll be talking about it.
Yeah. All right. So our next topic for today, Magic Eden has launched their new Ethereum marketplace, which now is layered on top of their already vibrant Solana and Bitcoin NFT marketplace. So Magic Eden, I think the NFT marketplace as a whole was really dominated by OpenSea, and then Blur kind of ate OpenSea's lunch. And over the past few weeks, it seems like Magic Eden has potential here to kind of break through. You're seeing a lot of activity on Solana. You're seeing the Bitcoin NFTs are, really, I think, have even had more volume than Ethereum NFTs.
Yeah.
And so here they've launched a creators alliance with industry support, including from Yuga Labs and Cool Cats and some other friends and family of ours, where they're going to try and uphold a royalty framework to make sure that creators are fairly paid. So, Kyle, what do we think of, again, we have this idea of upholding creator royalties, and then that backed by a marketplace that seems to be gaining market share.
Right.
Is this a viable opportunity here?
Well, they certainly seem to be tapping into the right thing at the right time. Solana is white hot right now, and it has been for quite some time. And Magic Eden, just on a personal level, I don't know if you used it before. It's awesome. It's really much more user friendly than OpenSea or Broken Sea. You know, as we often refer to it as.
Uh,
Sorry,
Come on,
OpenSea.
Kyle. Come on, you're better than that.
I couldn't help it. Low hanging fruit sometimes is is worthwhile, but the key aspect for me is the creator royalties. We talked about it on a prior episode. It may have been in one of our beta episodes. We talked about what OpenSea was doing with the creator royalties and not really upholding them. Yuga Labs was absolutely rightfully upset about that, and they had vied to take other actions to combat this. And now you're seeing those plans come to fruition. I think this is the correct thing in terms of honoring the art and giving the people who are generating these items and these assets the compensation they deserve. And overall, I just like everything that's happening here. It's not even a legal question. I just like it. Sometimes that's
Yeah,
the answer.
right. No, but I think that's right. I think ties back to this idea, which I know I've said a bunch of times, is that the whole purpose of NFTs being cool and a way for artists to create and get royalties from their art doesn't work when you have like
Right.
lowest common denominator marketplaces that only exist to enable people to make money and flip. That the only mechanic for making money is really like some token or other thing, and then like the creators get screwed because they get screwed out of the royalties.
Right.
And
Yep.
but fundamentally, the marketplace, if you have one marketplace where the fee is 1% and another marketplace where the fee is 0%, there's kind of this market dynamic where traders are going to shift to a zero fee marketplace because it's cheaper and they get more money, and that's the reality, right? So here you're seeing the creators kind of try and continue to build marketplace dynamics, which requires buy-in from the marketplace, which requires buy-in from the creators and their smart contract support. There's a lot that goes into this, and here another attempt at it, and it seems to be off to a good start. So I guess the question is, can they sustain it?
Only time will tell. But I mean, so far they're off to the races and doing something right. Have you used Magic Eden?
I have not.
Oh, all right, well, you should get
I
on
guess
that.
I need to buy some ordinals. Like I don't know where else to
Yeah.
buy them. I guess
Yeah.
I don't.
Exactly. Switching gears a little bit to something a bit of an unusual story. The Musée d'Orsay in Paris, which is a wonderful and underrated museum in Paris, France. If you want to, I know nothing about art. I'm not a curator, and I've been to the Louvre, and it's awesome and it's really cool. But if the Louvre is packed, which it often is, go about a mile down the road to d'Orsay. It is really awesome.
D'Orsay is a
Anyway,
nice museum.
it's really
Underrated.
cool. Yeah, I saw a Van Gogh exhibit that blew my mind when I was there. But anyway, they have entered the blockchain realm with the Convergence of Breath, a pioneering on-chain NFT exhibition, which features Sigma Lumina, a steel sculpture by Egoria and Lescure that reveals a QR code in a specific light alignment, leading to an NFT minting process activated by a participant's breath. Moish, have you ever heard of anything this interactive like that? I'm not even sure how that would work.
The breath is a little bit. I mean, I guess there's like WorldCoin where you can scan your eye. That's a little bit different, but no, I have not heard of a breath focused NFT minting situation.
Yeah, this one's a little new. So thus far, as of the date of this recording, over 2,000 NFTs have been minted, capturing the collective breath of visitors, which artists have synthesized into 5 unique NFTs representing the exhibition's various weeks. The Convergence of Breaths NFTs will be auctioned on Object, with the exhibition running until March 10th, so later this week, which merges traditional art and blockchain technology. The Musée d'Orsay joins, and I'm sorry about the pronunciation, just don't at me. The
I was
Musée
gonna say,
d'Orsay.
have you been practicing your French?
No, I do speak a little French, but I'm not great. Joined several cultural institutions that have explored NFTs for revenue opportunities, accessibility, and immersive digital experiences. The Bruce Museum and Institute of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles have done this. Last year, the Center Pompidou in Paris had an exhibition featuring NFTs from CryptoPunks and Autoglyphs projects. Moish, do you think that there's a long-term play with this sort of interactive type of art and creating NFTs? I think this is cool. I don't know how it works,
for
but it's
sure.
cool.
No, I mean, look, MoMA. I don't know if have you been to the MoMA Rafik Anandal unsupervised exhibit?
No, I've been to
Okay,
the MoMA,
that
but not,
that that
yeah,
is like,
yeah.
I mean, I have not been to the Musée d'Orsay. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I have just had my third kid, so maybe not for a couple more weeks.
Sounds like an excuse.
Yeah, I could not make it to NFT Paris. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, so that exhibit, which is the MoMA actually bought as part of their permanent collection, is astounding. And when you walk into the to MoMA and like, there's this big lobby area, and it just dominates your entrance
Right.
to the museum. It's totally amazing, and there's a whole. I think most people don't realize that it's even NFT. It's just kind of a beautiful art thing. But I think that's how that's how it goes mainstream, right? People don't care it's NFT, but they see beautiful art and they say, "Oh, I can collect that. Oh, I can buy his digital art." Like, oh,
Right.
that makes sense. Like NFTs confuse people, but collecting beautiful digital art, like I think, is more intuitive.
It's true.
So for sure, like that's the entryway, right? And museums are going to be a huge a huge part of curating that and onboarding collectors and normal people to part of that process.
Yeah, it's true. And it's just cool. I'm dying to see how this pans out. Like
I
where you
know.
breathe into it. It's just so cool.
The dynamic minting thing is great. I think there's
Yeah.
the more of that we can do, I think is better, because then you get people. It's like, I created this NFT by
Somehow.
breathing on it, by giving it life.
That's it. Right.
So now it's mine. I created it. I don't want to flip it for like like zero point 0.1 ETH on Blur. Like I want this is like a thing I've collected. I own it.
I would, I would,
That's what
I
gets
would,
people interested.
I would buy your breath NFT, Moosh.
Oh God, that's
To
creepy.
friends and family.
Get away, Kyle. That's mine. I'm never selling it. See, there you go. That's how you get diamond hands. It's like, yeah.
Exactly.
No, I breathed on it. I can't sell that.
Uh,
All right. Moving on to the breaking news that an early co-developer of Bitcoin, Martii Malmi, if I said that right, tweeted a link to a trove of emails between himself and Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto from back in 2009 to 2011 in the development of Bitcoin, the early development of Bitcoin. And the emails contained a bunch of conversations on, Satoshi's opinion on, how anonymous Bitcoin should be, the origins of the term cryptocurrency, the potential energy consumption of Bitcoin mining, and how, it's going to be a lot, but it's less than the banking and, skyscrapers and credit cards or whatever else. So there's some interesting thoughts in there. One of the hopes, I think, people was like, oh, now we're going to uncover the identity of Satoshi. And there were a few like new guesses that were kind of old guesses, and it seems like we're still in the same situation. But nonetheless, we have this new email trove from the early days. Do you think, Kyle, I know some of these touched on like the more legal regulatory aspects. Do you think any of these are going to impact the way we view Bitcoin from a legal perspective?
Probably not how we view Bitcoin, but one of the interesting notes in this was that one of the emails said, I'm uncomfortable with explicitly saying consider it an investment. That's a dangerous thing to say. It's okay if they come to that conclusion on their own, but we can't pitch it as that. And that's a really interesting thing that I think a lot of these creators need to take to heart, because we've seen it time and time again. It's so easy. And yes, we can Monday morning quarterback this all day long, but it's so easy for an issuer to say, this is not an investment. But then there's buzz, and then there's people who are interested in it, and you get people, celebrities want to endorse you, whatever it may be. You're highlighted, you're a trending project, all these kinds of things. It's really difficult to resist that urge to say, hey, come on board. FOMO is very real. People want to make money in the space. It's just human nature. And it's really interesting that line, it's really prescient. Will it give us more of a framework to create a legal landscape? Probably not, but it's really interesting to see that they were thinking about these things 12, 13 years ago. And now here we are, and we're not really that much further along.
Well, it is interesting, right? Because Bitcoin is the one digital asset that has kind of reached escape velocity, in the
Yeah.
sense that the SEC has affirmatively declared that Bitcoin is not a security. And it feels like, well, that was just something that kind of happened organically, and it just by the kind of it being the first. And but no, I mean, like, look, that was something that was explicitly thought about and considered, and
Right.
part of
Yeah.
the creation of it. So I think that's an interesting factor here is the consideration that goes into these things, even something that people assume just kind of by now has always been there.
Yeah. There was another piece of this that you may know a little bit more about is the emphasis from Satoshi that the transactions can't be automatically anonymous. How do you think that sort of factors into one, how we view these assets, how we view Bitcoin and the assets overall today? Where do you think that fits in now?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was totally this idea when Bitcoin first came out that it was completely anonymous, and I don't think it was really pushed by Satoshi. Um, I mean, and clearly here they're saying it wasn't actually the idea, but when it was first used for things like Silk Road
Mm.
and other kind of pseudonymous activities that people assumed would always be private, and then it turned out actually those things were not private. In fact, there was a kind
Right.
of a golden age of um, like detectives, the illicit finance tracing kind of activities that they said, hey, all these transactions that people presumed were anonymous actually are not, and people got arrested for that pretty quickly. So that happened. We're on to the next part of it.
Yeah. Final topic today is something that came out just over the past 2 days, actually. The SunContract personal power plant. The energy trading platform known as SunContract has unveiled the first ever NFT marketplace for real world solar panels. The inaugural tokenized solar farm is located in a Slovenian village of, there's no way I'm going to say this right. I'm sorry in advance. I'll just call it Vinje, at a facility featuring 2,112 solar panels with a peak power of 517 kilowatts. 2112, baby, not just a great album. The owners of the NFTs are able to use the energy produced from the actual solar panel associated with their NFT to generate, excuse me, for their own consumption, and they can buy and sell NFTs anytime using the marketplace associated with it. The program aims to promote renewable energy by linking digital and real world assets to create economic incentives. For all the talk of environmental concerns that these assets generate, now you have a solar farm with NFTs and people can trade on them. Moish, just before we even get into the regulation talks, what do you think about this? Is this another Orange Grove? Is this bull market nonsense? Where do you think we're going to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, one, this sounds awesome, right? The setup is, I mean,
I love it.
the way solar panels like and these projects work is they're very complicated, but a lot of it's financial engineering,
Yeah.
and you essentially create a solar farm, but before it's even finished being constructed, you've sold off the power that's going, like the potential power of that farm is an asset that is sold.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have like an institutional buyer, like a utility that'll come in and pre-purchase all of that power for like all time, and that's great. And it's a great way for everyone to make money in this development, right? And people are thinking long term, short term, using the energy, selling the energy, right? So everyone kind of wins. So I think this is really cool that you could, instead of just having utility kind of come in and buy all the power, is like these are NFTs and they can actually trade, and you have a dynamic marketplace. Like, awesome. This is what the technology should be used for. Fantastic. I think you kind of hinted at it. I do get a little concerned that this is kind of like bull market vaporware, and none of this is actually going to, like, it's a great idea, but let's have the solar farm be developed and sold and have an operative marketplace with buyers and sellers with liquidity, like before we're talking about how cool this is, right?
Yeah. It's true. And not to, I'm not going to name the project because that would be rude, but a couple of years ago, I was involved with this project that was doing something along the same lines where you would buy the NFT, and then once they minted, the NFT creators would partner up with different airlines and lounges, and you would get access to first class seats, and you'd be able to sit in this lounge and do all these things. And I went into one of their AMAs and I said, well, how does it work now? Like, where are these contracts? And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll figure it all out after mint. And I was like, that's not really an answer. I don't know if that works. And there could be some of that in play here.
Well, I do think we are now in like just 2024 now, where I think there is a little bit more vetting and like the kind of true, just like crazy vaporware stuff people just are thinking about, where there's a deck but nothing's actually happened. I think we've cut out a lot of that, hopefully, but I still think it's crypto. Anything can happen. You got to be kind of wary.
It's true. Slovenia, underrated tourist country. It's supposed to be beautiful, from what I understand.
I want to visit. I don't doubt it.
Add to the list. Well, now you have a third kid. Now you have all the time in the world
to wherever I want. Yeah.
Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this edition of Block and Order. This was our 9th episode. Thank you for making it 9 wonderful episodes, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's a topic you want us to cover, please leave a comment down below. Also, please remember to follow us on all our socials. The links are down below in the show notes. Also, remember that nothing that you hear on the show is meant to be construed as legal or financial advice at all. And just because that Moish and I and the creators of Block and Order may own some of the digital assets and NFTs that we cover on the show does not in any way serve as an endorsement of these assets, as Moish and I and the other creators are degens, and we will ape into whatever we can find. Please note that the show is solely for informational purposes. It's not for legal advice. Hire your own attorney, all that good stuff. And on behalf of Block and Order, I am Kyle Lawrence.
I am Moish Peltz. Thank you also to producer Chris, and have a good day.